All right. Well, welcome. My name is Philip Urino. I'll be the speaker. Um, again, I'm still a little nervous, so bear with me. Let me get started here. The brief agenda is we have a lot to talk about in a short period of time, and it's going to be like taking a drink from a fire hydrant. So I'll try to go as quick. My ADD will kick in, so I'll kind of slow down here or there. I was dropped as a child, so yeah. My dad had actually um, he admitted it. So anyway, moving on. Here's the agenda for right now. Brief introduction about myself, what I do. 3 camps. I'll go over that in a moment. Then I'll start the 5 steps. And the 5 steps are a little different than you might think of. And then we'll have some time for a question and answer. All right. So let's get started. Um, my name is Philip Urino. I teach engineering at Tribuco Hills High School. And why I teach because I like instilling the engineering aspect into students for the next generation, and it's fun. It really is fun. And I teach in a way that's a little bit different. You might be teaching the same way, actually. I'm more of a facilitator than I am a lecturer. So I'll lecture when I need to, but then they start on their projects and I start facilitating after that. And I use programs and different scenarios where it's kind of already there and it helps me become a facilitator and get to talk one-on-one with the students, and I'll get more into that in a moment. 3 camps. This is what I talk about when I am talking with my students because they fall into 3 camps. The first one is confirmation. Hey, I already know this stuff. This is great. And it confirms what I'm doing is the right thing or I'm on the right track. And they might pick up something really just a little bit more to improve on what they already know. So you might fall into this camp. Um, as I talk about what's going on, you may hopefully not fall into this camp where, or not this, neither camp. Hopefully, it's not like this. I've been to conferences where I felt like this. And when I got back to the classroom, start thinking about the conference, I actually did pick up something that I didn't realize that I did. And hopefully, it won't be like this. The second camp student I usually tell my students is more like the refresher. Hey, I used to do that. I remember doing that. Oh, I forgot about that. Or it's like, oh, I've been wanting to do that, but didn't know how to get started. So you might fall into this refresher type camp. And the third camp I think is the most fun is the camp where everything's new and exciting, and it's just taking all these things, so many things to it's hard to keep track of it. So you might fall into one of these 3 camps. So we'll get started. The 5 steps I'll be going, I kind of use this as a front loading because the 5 steps may not be here's what you do for the creative classroom environment that teaches students the hands-on experience, step da 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 da. It's kind of like partially you and then partially the industry is where I'm kind of going to be going with this. And well, let's just get started. Double checking. Can you all still hear me and see me? Just waiting for some comments here to make sure that that's going on. Miami, Missouri, Oklahoma. Welcome. Wow. Okay, y'all can hear me. Beautiful. All right, let me move on. All right. The first one is to know your industry. That would be the very first step you want to do. If you're teaching outdated material, then your students will learn the outdated. And when they go into the industry, they're going to be learning, well, they're going to know the old stuff and nothing of the new stuff, which hinders them from getting into the industry. So getting to know your industry is really, really, really important. I get excited about new trends. I don't teach the fads, but I teach the trends and I keep up to date with that. And so that is the important thing that I do. And when I get excited, I bring that across to the students, and the next thing you know, they're looking up the latest trends in the industry, and they start bringing me information, which is really cool because that means I can use their information later on, and it really works really well. So, how do I know my industry? Well, the first thing would be uh, I join a professional organization. I join the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. And so This is a professional organization that they meet once a month, and in this meeting, there are professionals in the industry, there are some college professors, and there are some other high school teachers. It's great because I can bounce ideas off the industry members if I have questions to see what's going on in the latest in the industry there. And for the colleges, it's great to understand what they're expecting from a future student coming into their college. And the organization, as far as the industry members, I get to know what they're looking for in the industry as far as employees. And I get to bounce ideas off other high school teachers as well. And from that, what's interesting, when you can from this organization, if you join a professional organization, you can get advisors, both industry advisors and college advisors. For most of us, if you're a teacher, for most of us, it's beginning to be more mandatory to have advisors for the grants. And so if you get into an organization, it makes it easier to find advisors. So that's another way of knowing your industry. And I used to do show up, hey, there's my advisor, great, sign the paperwork, and then leave and never talk to them again. It wasn't until the light bulb came on in my head to, hey, I need to ask these guys, these advisors, these industry members some questions. And I started doing that and keeping in touch with them often. And that's how I started improving what I do in the steps of knowing how to get my students from the classroom into the industry. And they are a wealth of knowledge. The other way to know your industry is by reading and watching. The Society of Manufacturing Engineers, they put together newsletters and they show the latest trends. Right now, there's a lot happening in the aerospace industry. So I take those ideas they give me, they spark these ideas, and I go to YouTube to look for things. Oh, I love YouTube. YouTube is fantastic to show students the latest trends in industry, how it relates to what they're doing. So it answers their question is, why am I doing this? They can see the latest things. I use it from my beginning drafting class to my advanced engineering classes. And it's really, really good. I show them this usually on Weird Info Wednesdays. That's when I show them videos and weird info at the beginning of the class of what's latest and trending in industry, to weird laws in California where I'm at. So it helps them get their minds going before the classroom actually starts to getting into their projects. So these are the three things: professional organizations, advisors, read and watch. And those that would be the basic three things of getting to know your industry. The more you know your industry, the better you can relate it to your students and they get excited about it. And they take that excitement into the colleges and then into the industry for their hands-on experience. More than just turning a screwdriver, they learn the excitement and they're teachable. Industry loves that. All right. Sadly, we don't have breakout rooms so that you can talk with each other and exchange information. But think about this question: what do you do to know your industry? What do you do to know your industry? And I'm not sure with this platform if you can unmute and talk or not, other than just what's in the session, because it'd be great to hear from at least one person about what you do to know your industry. Can you all unmute and then talk? I just need one person to kind of get some other ideas. It doesn't seem like it. I don't see anything in the chat explaining that they can or not. All right. Well, that's the bummer part, because for me, can't unmute. All right. Thanks, Sean. All right. This is kind of weird. I'm used to Zoom. Richard talks about taking online courses. That's cool. So online courses is a good way to go in there. Dale says that the school brings a panel of industry leaders to their community. That's cool. That's kind of what ROP will do a lot. And if your school does that for you, it makes it a lot easier. Okay. You had advisory committees. Good, good. Oh, Kitty, good point. Being an advisor, being on an advisory board for another place also is really good because I'm not currently, but I was on an advisory board um, for a college, a local community college, and that helped out a lot too. Recruit professional mentors, got it. Guest speakers, perfect. Thanks, Zara. So STEM PD, I see that. County planners bring industry reps, cool. All right, so when you meet these industry members, I used to do, hi, how you doing? Great. Sign the check mark. I met with y'all. It meets the WASC. It meets what I need for the grant, and I'm done. Stay in touch with them. See if you can visit their facility. See if you can talk to them. And then from them, they can come and talk to your students too as guest speakers. Awesome. Beautiful. All right. Bummer. I'm used to Zoom. Sorry, y'all. All right, let's move on. The second thing is go with your strengths. Oh, Elena, you're a Society of Women Engineers. Awesome. I usually bring them into for my students so my female engineering students can have a chat with them too. So, step two, go with your strengths. And how does this give your students hands-on experience in the industry requires? A whole lot, because when you bring your personal strengths into the teaching, it makes that more exciting. The students engage more, and they're willing to learn. So, smart industry will place employees where their strengths are. If that employee is in a place where they're best suited, they will flourish and be very, very productive in that industry. For example, for me in engineering, there are different careers under the umbrella of engineering. There's civil engineering, mechanical, industrial, electrical, all these different ones. My personal strength is in mechanical engineering with gadgets and gizmos, not air conditioning, but gadgets and gizmos. I touch on the other areas like architectural engineering, civil, structural, all these, but my focus is the mechanical. Even though I do understand a bit about those fields, they're not my strengths. So I use step four, which we'll get to, on helping me with the other areas. I'm also a magician, so that helps when I invent my magic and things like that. I show them the thought process. I don't show them the trick and how it's done, but I'll show them here's what I kind of want to do. I might 3D print a piece out and say, here's the piece, a piece of it, kind of. And then at the end, when the product's done, then I'll present the magic trick to them, usually on Magic Mondays, so they can see what my thought was and how the final product is. And you bring that together. So that's my strength as well. So go with your strength. Maybe you're really good at playing guitar. You teach math, but you're good at playing guitar. The guitar is your strength. You bring that in, you play them, you show them the different things. But when you're coming up to volume, for example, you could talk about the air volume inside a classical guitar, or maybe the sound waves of a sound, and then equate that to the sine and cosine waves and things like that, different sounds, or maybe even the tension of the string. Whatever your strength is as a teacher, an instructor, at whatever your strength is, bring that in, and it helps the students to flourish. And they see the why. Why am I learning this? Oh, hey, another student may love guitar too, or it may bring in some excitement. And that will tend to help engage the students. And the more the students are engaged, the better it is when they move on to the college and they move on to the industry. I have students that came in because they got stuck in my class. By the end of the first year, second year, they take the second. By the end of the fourth year, now they want to be engineers, and it's really fun to hear stuff like that. It's like, wow, that's kind of cool. So it works for the in the classroom, and it works beyond using your strengths. Now, the different steps I'm talking about, there's a whole lot more behind it, but I only have a very little bit of time here. And so feel free to contact me via email. If there's a bunch of you that contact me, we can do a Zoom and I can go over more of the stuff in detail. And if you're close by, you're welcome to come visit me. All right. So think about one of your strengths and how you can use it in the classroom. So I'll break off and I'll look at the chat here as you guys type in. What is your strength and how you use it in the classroom? And some of you may have not even thought about, oh, this is about me and my strengths as opposed to, okay, here are the steps for my students. Because part of a teacher is we need to be engaged and having fun too, and it makes it so much more fun to teach. Humor builds rapport. Thanks, Travis. Yeah, it does. I'm I tell my students ADD and I was dropped as a child, which is all true. But I like to have fun too in the classroom. Any others about how you use your strengths in your classroom? Big one right there, Richard. Yep. Richard says thinking outside of the box, out of the box. And it's so true. So true. Props. Richard Gonzalez, Richard Harrison talked about thinking outside the box. Richard Gonzalez, props, animatronics. Oh, you're getting into my forte of robotics. I love robotics. Mountain biking, Dale West, mountain biking. I do that too. It's so fun because when I bring in some of the videos of the latest trends in bicycle, the kids they relate to bicycles too. Okay, Cassie, interesting comment, Cassie. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Not taking yourself as seriously, that helps the fun and breaking it up so the kids are more relaxed in your class and they tend to learn more and they want to be in your class. Elenis teaches STEM and robotics. I was at a swap meet when it was open months ago, and I found an old BB-8, the ones that would sell for like 500 or 600 bucks. I talked them down to $10. I brought it into my students. I go, look, here's a BB-8. It's not working. I'm going to open it up and I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll see if I can fix it. And then the whole shutdown happened, so I'll be bringing it back up. It's so fun to bring that in. Projects. Sherry loves projects. Yep, lots of projects. It is fun. A positive environment, right, Kitty? Tyrone in his other lives. Okay. Ohm's law. He relates it to preaching. Awesome, awesome, digging it. So there's a lot of stuff that you may not even realize. Oh, wait a minute, that's my strength. I can bring that in. That helps bring it in to transferring over to the students. So let's move on to the next one. Awesome. I love it. Superheroes, Marvel superheroes, digging it, digging it. Can't wait for Disney. I'm just like where I live 5 miles from Disneyland. I can't wait for that to open up again. A gamer. Cassie's a gamer. Awesome. All right. I get stuck. My ADD's stuck on the comments. I got to move on. There's not a whole lot of time. But next, be professional but fun. Okay. Be professional but fun. And how does this give your students the hands-on experience the industry requires? Oh, a whole lot. As I listen to the industry and what my advisors are wanting, they are talking a lot about soft skills, soft skills. And I don't know if the term soft skills is effective, but I talk about proper work ethics. Okay, so here's what I do. I greet my students at the door with a handshake. Well, before this, I don't know how I'm going to do it coming in, but before this, I would greet them at the door with a handshake. That does a lot for the professional, a proper handshake. It does a lot of practicing and okay, stronger grip. Okay, move your hand, and it teaches them that. It gives them proper training in handshakes, and it also gives me a chance to see how they're doing. I get a bubbly kid, and all of a sudden they're coming in really down. Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Because truthfully, the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That that phrase, I didn't really realize it until maybe my fifth year into teaching. And then after I realized it, it's like, whoa, then my whole classroom started to change as far as the demeanor and the fun and everything. So I get to check that. And in some cases, I get to see, well, in some of the schools I've taught in, are they high? Do they smell like smoke? You get to check those things too. But you're greeting them at the door, whether you shake their hands or not, um, it gives them an opportunity to know you care, and it helps a lot with the classroom management. So I'm making it professional with the handshake, but I'm also making it fun. Here's another thing that I do. They do time cards. Time cards is very, very important because it gives them the opportunity to turn in a time card, because I treat their binders, and I'll go over that in a moment. Um, I'll go over that in a moment here. I'm looking at the comments here. You're right, Wayne. It's been for the last 30 years, soft skills have been really important. Um, the binder, the time cards is what they turn in at the same time they turn in their binders. And I'll talk more about the binders in a minute. So here's my binder time check card. They turn in their binders, they fill in their period, name, and date. Everything that I have equates to money. So I'm bringing the professionalism in there. So if it's worth 50 points, I tell them it's worth $50. Not real money, but they equate that I try to equate that to the real world. So here are deductions. In this case, physical appearance of the binders minus $1, not necessarily your taxes deduction, what have you, but I talk about deductions and stuff. No syllabus minus $5. And every week they turn this in and I go through deductions. And for my freshmen, they're just the $50 for the week. For my second year level to my fourth level, now it's $25 or $26 an hour. And I'll go more over that in a moment. Down here for deductions, this pertains to my advanced level students, a project description, project summary, things like that. If they're tardy or off task, and this is more specific when I'm looking for the project descriptions, minimum 2 quality sentences, this gives them into the writing. A lot of things in the industry that I've heard too is poor technical writing. So this helps me give them practice along the way through the entire school year for technical writing and their weekly summaries of what they learned. So if you're interested in something like this, I put this together in Excel. If you're interested, just shoot me an email. And again, I can send out everything that I have here that I show you. I'll be more than willing to share that with you. The other thing that I do for my more advanced level is the time card. The time card, they fill in the first sheet, but now I have it programmed where they cannot click anywhere else except here. They put in their name, employee name, the project they're working on, the department, which is the period, and then they fill in the starting of the pay period here, and it automatically fills in the date for the later. Here, now they write in 2 sentences, 2 quick sentences of what they did. When I worked at Disney and other engineering firms, my how I got paid was, what did I do? I filled out the time card. What did I do? Which project did I work on and how many hours? And that's how I got paid. So I bring that over to my classroom now. And so now they give me 2 sentences, nothing difficult, just 2 quality sentences of what they did. Then they'll check here. Let me quickly say, okay, you guys can you guys see the Excel forms that I'm showing? I want to make sure I got that. A quick comment would, Elena said she'd like a copy, so I'm assuming you guys can see it. Perfect. Uh, and so here, it's programmed so the students can see this. They can't click anywhere else. They'll type in the minimum of 2 quality sentences of what they did. Then they'll just check here. Boom, and automatically fills in. For us, our short days are 40 minutes. And so they'll fill it in, they'll check it. That's 54 minutes. Because we go by minutes as opposed to hours, I broke it down to that. If they're sick, they'll put in sick here, and down here they have sick leave. They'll click on this box. And it adds up. So the percentage of work done this week, minutes possible, is 256. So they fill in what they did, and I look at that. Then at the end of the week on Friday, they fill in what they learned. This is the educational part of it. This is not necessarily what I would do on a time card in the real world, but this is the educational part. That education, the education is looking at certain things that we need to show as a show and tell kind of a thing, but it also helps me as a teacher know what they actually learned. Sometimes they'll say, I didn't learn much because I did all of this and this, which gives me a chance to go talk to them. Okay, what did you not learn? How did this not learn? And it gives them, oh yeah, I did learn something. So they don't realize it till the next paycheck, then they can fill it in. But here's what they learn. And up here for us, it's the outcomes. I'm not sure if your schools have certain outcomes that they have, but they have to click on, did they do trust or honor or hard work and service? This is again the school thing, not necessarily a real world work thing, but it helps them understand what's going on and they click on it. Now, when I get it, this part that I'm just going to show you is locked. I unlock it, and now the department's filled in from above, the employee's name is filled in above, all this is filled in. Now I go in and I click in. All right, missing notes, there's 4 sheets. I would type in 4 here. If I put in 4 sheets are missing, it'll automatically calculate it for me and then deduct it from their earnings. These are deductions. They turn in the binder late. They're the poorly done holes. I'm a stickler for a good binder with properly done holes, because a binder with everything everywhere is not professional. So all of these things, I'm helping them, whether they know it or not, to be professional. That brings it into the industry. And so poorly done holes or things like this, they didn't turn in a time card. Yeah, I'll fill that out for them, but I charge them $5 to do it. So all the deductions happen here. It's automatic. They see the total possible. They can earn 117.76 that month, or that week, and then their gross pay. Now they're learning what gross pay is and net pay is. Well, with all their deductions, this is how much they took home, which is their net pay. And since they're used to seeing percentage, they'll see percentage. And then here is what I'll do is I'll type in any notes. Hey, this is the second time you did notes. If you don't do it again, it's minus $10 because you didn't fix the previous things. And so, and then they see their pay stub. Again, I programmed this. This is all pre-programmed that I've come up with, and I put in. I'll be willing to share it with y'all. Just let me know, Susan. Um, I'll get to your question there in a moment. I see that question, and then they fill it in. Their name will pop in here. The dollar cents will automatically fill in, and I tell them this is not their paycheck. This is their pay stub, because what I do is I take that money and I put them into their quasi savings account, and then from there is where at the grading period, how much money do you have and how much money does it take to get an A? And so they kind of equate that. And this is what I do. And the question came up, which is a good question. Um, does it take time? Yes, it does. It when you do the time cards, once you get a pattern down, I can go through 30 students' binders in about 15, 20 minutes, because I've already checked before. Since I do it weekly, I'll make check marks on it. In fact, here's a binder. This is a student's binder here. I don't know if you can see this well. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. Man, so much to talk about in such a short period of time. So here's a binder. They put their name, a professional engineering thing. This is not, I tell them it's not a binder to write scribbles in, to put their pictures in or anything like that. They always have this pencil pouch, because I don't give pencils. I don't hand that out. This is what they got when they go into industry. They got to have their stuff with them. And then their dividers, they break it up into um, the different categories. The first category are any handouts I give them, including the syllabus. The second category is vocabulary. So if I give them any vocabulary, it'll go in there. Third is paychecks. So here's kind of, let me see if I can get it up there. You guys can see that. This is a paycheck. They did everything just right. So then all I do is go 50 out of 50. This is my beginning engineering. So it's $50 a week. Any notes that they have goes into the notes tab. And then here's all their work. All their work goes back here. And every semester, or every semester, yeah, every semester they change it. They got to get a new binder because so much work goes in it. My advanced students do the same thing, but let me just go over to the paychecks. This is what they get. This is their paycheck, and their stubs on the bottom. I just print it out with any notes. So after that one takes a little bit more time, because what they'll do is they'll Google Classroom paste their time cards to me, and I read them all. So that takes a little bit of time to do that. Not a whole lot of time to once you get a whole thing going, but once you get the system down, it goes. Plus, it's great to take in for your 504s, your IAPs, parent meetings, show and tell for admin, and it's a portfolio they can take into a college to show them their work. I take these, a couple of these go in when I articulate with colleges so they can see it. Um, and so it's all kinds of things that can be done with these binders. And again, if a lot of you want to get into a Zoom, I can go into a lot more detail, email you the PowerPoint, or the PowerPoint I can email you to, and all these things. It's what we do as teachers. We share. We beg, borrow, and steal. But I don't like the stealing. I like the borrowing and sharing. So think about this question: how are you professional and fun in your classroom? Some of you might be hey, I do that. This is great. Again, the three camps. This is great. Some of you are like, hey, that's kind of cool. I used to do something like that. Now I could do a little bit better. Some of you are like, wow, this is brand new. This is great. I love to implement this. And so, I can walk you through all kinds of stuff and later on. Again, whole short time. My AD's kicking in, as you can tell. I'm thinking faster than my words are coming out. So let me slow down here. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. When I first started teaching, I was inventing the wheel. Nobody told me anything about not reinventing the wheel. And so, how does this give your students hands-on experience? Well, it gives you more time with them. My plan with the binder, I see a couple of things here real quick. Dale, was your plan since we're going remote? They're still going to have a binder. And so when I give the information to them, they'll need to print it out and they fill it in and they'll take a picture of it or scan it and send it back to me to grade. But that goes into their binder. They still have to be filling in. They still have to be filling in and doing all the work, and it still has to go into their binder. But the binder is going to be at home for right now. Then when we get back to, we're going to probably go hybrid to start with. But when we start doing that, then they'll bring their binders, and then we'll start working with filling in the binders, because the binders don't leave my classroom. They stay in the classroom, because we all know if they leave the classroom, it's never coming back in one piece, or or it coming back at all. So everything stays in the classroom. All right, good questions. Coming back to here, don't reinvent the wheel. It helps a lot with reducing prep time. It allows me to give more physical hands-on projects and become more of that facilitator. Um, do you have your students? If they don't have a way to print, I'm going to talk with my tech team to see if they can send it to my printer here on campus when I okay it. I'm still working with that on my tech team. If not, then what they'll do is uh, they might have a neighbor or something where they can have a neighbor print it out, or I'll mail it to them. So worst case scenario, I can mail it to them. This is new to me too, and all this stay at home kind of things. It's kind of new to me. I have ideas. My sister has done things. She teaches in elementary school. It's like, I can probably do that. So anyway, moving on here. ADD. Sorry, squirrel. Uh, I become a facilitator when I don't have to reinvent the wheel, or I take a wheel that exists and I change it. And what I mean by that is I improve on an existing wheel. Is I take curriculums that already exist. Yeah, I know you're thinking canned curriculum. I understand that. But what it is canned curriculum that can be facilitated. That can be facilitated. David, good point there. Google Sheets, Office 365, Excel, etc. OneNote. I'm not a fan of the Google products, but I'm going to have to learn how to use it. But anyway, coming back to here, canned curriculum is what you might be thinking, but the canned curriculum that's out there, if you get the right one, you can change it to fit you. And when you change it to fit you and your strengths, it makes it so that you only have to do a little bit of prep time, because a lot of it's already done. I can use bits and pieces of that. I can I can take chunks of it. Think of it this way. I can go get raw wood and bristles, make my own paintbrush. I can get the wood, cut the frame, get wood pulp or cotton pulp, and then make my own canvas. I can even get raw pigment and create my own colors. But I don't have time for that, and I don't have the knowledge for that. So I use what's existing. I'll go buy the paintbrushes and the canvas and that stuff and focus on what I want to do is painting. So I can get with these hand curriculums, if you will, and I'll go over a couple of them to show you, and then I can massage it because they let you do that into what fits you and your clientele, your students. That's how I do it. I've taken some of this and some of my students in my inner city schools couldn't go the level of this. So I had to bring it to a level that they could go to, and I worked with that. I could come up with curriculum, and I have from scratch, but it takes time. I already give enough of my summers and after school and everything to put together curriculums that I've put together, and it makes it more fun when you have something that's kind of done for you and you can just massage it. So Wayne, perfect. You it goes right into that. Here's one of the programs that I used. Paxton Patterson. If you haven't used Paxton Patterson, go look them up. Fantastic. They do small 20-day modules. So it's great for introduction to engineering. It's great for that. To which, let me show you real quick. Wow, I run out of time already. Let me bring this over. So here's what they do. They go from K to 12, and these are different things that they do. Let me go to high school since I've done that. Some of you might be elementary, some might be junior high. I'm speaking at the high school, but they do have elementary kits for STEM, and they have the junior high, which is very similar to this, only their days are 10-day modules. So, for example, alternative energy, architectural design. I've taught all these except for the new one, employability skills and biotechnology. You don't need to know everything about this because everything's there. They have a learning, an LCM, a learning management system, LMS. They have a learning management system where the students can learn online. It's transferable to Mac or PC because it's web based, and they could do the projects in the class. So they can do it that way. And that's what they have. It's all, and then you can change it. I've added videos, I have instructions. I've done a lot of things to change it with this that massage it to what my students and my clientele, which are my students, are. It's an online curriculum. That's a strength. It's good intro to curricular materials or career modules. You don't need to know everything. It reaches K-12. Junior high, they're 10-day modules, so every 10 days they change. High school, it's every 20, but I add more to it, so it's usually like every 25 because they have to do a presentation. They got to keep a binder, things like that. You can adjust the curriculum. Everything's provided for the modules. You don't have to get every module. You can pick and choose some of these modules. You might only have space in your room for 5 of them. You could go 2 to 4 students to a module. You're given training. In fact, they'll fly you out back east and they'll wine and dine you. It's really fun. And you get to actually work on the modules at a school out there in back east. It's a self-grading system and it's approved for A to G for the G. Some of the drawbacks, it's expensive to initially get started and it's very supply heavy, lots of consumables. So you got to be on top of it. There's a bit of a steep learning curve, but not a whole lot once you get it. You got to have teacher organizational skills and the desire to do that. I've seen some programs go downhill because the teacher just didn't really want to do it. It was forced on them, and a very good program goes downhill. Okay, there's a lot more, but next, PLTW. Someone mentioned PLTW. I'm trained in the IED of PLTW. The training, it's good for intro to engineering. If you don't have a lot of the fancy stuff like I do, CNC machines, 3D printers, it's great for that. It's a good intro. I use the engineering part of it. And so I did the introduction to engineering and they'll go over these things. It's really cool. Again, here you can adjust it to what fits best for your class. Okay, it's really adjustable. You don't need to know everything about it, but as you work with it more and more, you will get to know it, and you come up with some new ideas using their curriculum as a jump off point, if you will. Everything's provided for you. The supplies, you go order it. Um, it's designed for schools. Like I said, it's not fancy. Some of the drawbacks in initial expensive costs, yearly costs, lots of consumables. It's a bit of a steep learning curve. You have to go get trained. It's a week-long training, and if you don't, if you're not, straight into knowing I would know AutoCAD and Autodesk thing a little bit before you go, especially Fusion 360. because if not, you're going to be spending all night learning it while you have to do it. And you have to get trained in each one of the different modules. Again, teach organizational skills. Um, and once you get trained, though, I think you can get a free refresher course of it. But any other categories you want to teach, you have to get trained in. Next one, this is my all-time favorite because I've been using this for about 7 years right now. And so it's great for training them. It's online. They, I don't have to teach them. What I would teach them maybe how to do an extrude would take me 2 or 3 days because, oh, I didn't get it, or they're not paying attention over there, or okay, I got it and I'm waiting. This just takes care of that because it's online. They can see it at home. They can work on it at home. In fact, SolidWorks is working on a cloud-based one, which I think everybody's getting a free access to it to test it. It's similar to SolidWorks that I teach, but it's a little watered down. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles. But this is great, and you get all of this once you pay for it. You get all of this included, and when they add more, which they added a few more, it's included. You don't have to pay extra for it. And I use this. Out of the last 3 years of my current school, I've had 45 students get their professional certifications in the first level. I've had one this year, the first one ever, to get their professional, the next level up. So I'll be giving them more and more tests as we go along. It's online. Some of the weaknesses, yes, its licenses are not transferable. So make sure that you don't give their licenses right away. Make sure the students will be staying in there. And even if they leave, you can't transfer that to another. Although, I don't know, you might be able to talk with Solid Professor and they might be able to cancel that one and give you a new one. But a Solid Professor is awesome. I'm telling you, they listen to you. There's some suggestions that I had made and they actually implemented it. It's like, whoa, this huge company's listening to me? No way. Phenomenal company. Um, let's see. Other drawbacks. It's not necessarily a drawback, but the students need to have a computer at home. But this new one that they're coming up with, they can use it on Chromebooks because it's cloud-based. So I'm anxious to test that out and see how that works. But another one. And finally, not in reinventing the wheel, is each other. We share things like some of you are excited about the things that I've shown about the Excel program. I'm willing to share. You don't have to invent that wheel. You can modify it to what you want it. So these are some of the key things to help with you instilling everything into the students so they can take it on to the industry. Let's see here. So think about how you have not reinvented the wheel. And I got to move on here. Very short for time because I want to give some questions. Next, let me get back here. Yeah, correct. The certification and everything for the PLTW is expensive. These are expensive. You got to make sure that if you're an admin and you're listening here, you got to make sure you get the right teacher. Don't force a teacher into it because that program will die and all that money will be wasted. You want to get a teacher that's excited and willing to put the time and effort into it. All right, so let me go back. Sorry, what? Yep. Oh, putting it all together. Man, I was going to go over briefly what I do in my class. It's tough. I have my beginning engineering, which is basic drafting, and we do engineering challenges, and then we do some AutoCAD, and they do one follow along lesson about 3D printing a little keychain for them to give them wet their whistle into the next level, which my engineering 2 is strictly SolidWorks. I use Solid Professor, and they train in SolidWorks, and they train a lot faster than if I were to teach them step by step. That's why I love Solid Professor. And usually by February going into March, they're ready for taking the exam. But in between, I do fun activities like they need to take a mousetrap card. They have to reverse engineer it. So I teach them calipers and all of that, how to read calipers. And then they got to draw it up. And what they've learned, they've got to put it together. We've done airplanes that you can buy in kits that they put together, but they got to draw it up. And so they got to apply what they've learned, not just what's on Solid Professor. Okay, you've learned this, but now they got to apply it with the project. Then they get to put it together, and then we go fly it. So we do kind of fun stuff with that. And so my third level is where I take it all together and we have to invent something new. In fact, it's out here. Some of you may be from Orange County. I go through Vital Link and we do the OC Maker Challenge, where they have to come up with something new or something that exists but change it drastically. And that's where I teach them the engineering design process, which I think is the second level of PLTW, or it might be the first level. I haven't been teaching PLTW. No, it's the first level because we do the books of it. So I teach them the engineering design process, but I go deeper. I take them from concept through product, through working prototype, through packaging. They've got to know the entire thing. And so I take them through, and they have to do a patent search. It's not required for the competition or the PLTW, but I have them do a preliminary patent search. And then I look at the product. Did I see this before? And there are some students go, I've seen that before. Look up here, boom, and there it is. And some students will decide to, I may not have seen it, but then they find out, oh, it exists exactly what we want to do. So they got to change their effort and keep their engineering notebook, which is a professional notebook that they have to sign, which I learned in PLTW. They sign it and everything, and they can take that to the court of law as their idea. And so First Robotics, wait, I was a mentor for First Robotics. I'm trying to get to First Robotics. Right now it's just Vex, and I'm trying to get to first. Believe me, I'm trying to get to first. But I won't start First Robotics until I have at least 18 grand to get started. And then my senior level is when I do robotics. They learn a little bit of robotics. They go into electronics, about the circuitry, the different components, what a resistor is, all of that. Then we go into Arduinos, which the solid professor, they add an Arduino section. So I'm going to be looking through that. And then I take them into the final one, which is a combination of the electronics and programming and robotics with a parallax robotics. It brings all that together, and they got to program it. So I do some computer programming, some engineering, computer engineering, if you will, with that. And that's my fourth level. So that's kind of what I do for my lessons. And I do a lot more. If you're close by, stop by. I'll gladly show you it's a mess right now because I'm reorganizing my robotics room. But if you want to go onto Zoom, I could take my laptop around and show you my classroom. So it's fun. I love what I do. It's great. I'm not in it for the money, obviously. I do it because I love it. And to see the light bulbs go on in these students, phenomenal. And the stuff they come up with, I've had like already in the last 3 years, 5 students, their parents want to take them to the next level. They take them to the next level of their patents because some of these things, I tell you, they're worth patenting. Okay. First Lego League, awesome there. Uh, Design lab competitions. So get into competitions. Let your students get out there and run. If they fall, pick them up. We keep going. So you fail forward is kind of what I teach them. All right. Whew. I've gone over a lot. There's a whole lot more I can go over, but let me take some questions. I'll switch it over to here so you can see my web or my email address. Are there any questions for me? I want to leave some time up for that. I know I went through this fast. Your heads are probably spinning, and you're probably saying, "Yep, he was dropped as a child." Give you guys some time to type it in. SME puts out a what they call a oh wow, I'm having a Dory moment. Some of the top high schools. Richard Harrison, great. I'm glad I got your wheels turning. And that's just it. Everything that I've talked about, some of it pertains to us as teachers personally, because a lot of people forget about it. We're human and we want to be having fun too. So once you bring that in, you relay that to your students, they take it in industry. The industry sees the students' eagerness, they're willing to learn. Everything is just phenomenal. And I have colleges. How many of your students come to mind? How many? How many? And so they want my students. I have some industry members that are in the past that, okay, send them in for an interview. At least gets them the interview. And I've had some students hired because of that. I've had students because of them knowing SolidWorks, they got hired on because of that. And so, like I said, I don't think I've said it, but I consider myself um, teaching a living curriculum. So it changes with industry. Dave, do all my students follow the 4-year pathway? Yes and no. Um, because of the requirements at the sophomore level, they have to leave their sophomore level to get the A to G requirements. But the good thing is my first level it qualifies for the fine arts, so I get to keep them in. So if they come in, they can come in at any level. If they come in as a senior, they have to come in my beginning engineering. They can't go to the senior level because everything builds up to the next level. They can come in first, second level, skip a year, and come back to the third level, which is fine. Let's see. Let's see. Or can they jump in at any level? Yeah, they can't necessarily jump in at any level because they would be totally lost. For the CAD and robotics. Now, for robotics, they can come into my robotics club, and what I'll do with robotics club is they put together the kits and they learn how to use the robots and the program it and everything. And I might throw in a little bit of electronics and things like that, where I can teach them on the side some electronics and stuff. So, can we email you? Uh, Yeah, email me. I could do a Zoom. Like I said, I get a whole bunch of people. I can throw a Zoom together. Feel free to email me if you're close by. Feel free to stop by. I mean, it's great. I love showing. I've had when I was doing the Paxton Patterson. I've had, and even now, I have teachers from around the county, around the United States, and I've had countries from different countries come and visit my Paxton Patterson labs because that company saw that how I did it. Um, let's see here. Lesson plans. My lesson plans change a lot, so I really don't have things written down to hand out, but I can talk to you what I do and show you what I do have. I'll be more than happy to share that with you. Um, Inventor. I just teach SolidWorks. In my beginning engineering, I teach them into 2D, which is AutoCAD, and then I go into SolidWorks, their lesson, and then to go into SolidWorks. I don't touch an Inventor because I found that most of the industry is SolidWorks. So I go with what the industry mostly has. Now I do know Inventor is in some of the industry, but if they know SolidWorks and they know it well, they'll be able to get into more industry or even bleed over into Inventor industries because they're pretty much the same. Drafting's drafting. Everything actually came from AutoCAD. AutoCAD is the granddaddy of them all, but they kind of bleed over. They just got to learn the new clicks and what this terminology is to do the same thing as extruding. Oh, yeah. Susan's getting hit with the hurricane. Man, stay safe. Stay safe. That's why I don't like living. I wouldn't want to live back east. I know of us here in California. Well, you got the earthquakes. You don't know when it's happening. At least we know when the hurricanes are coming. That's true. That's true. But yeah, hurricanes are scary. Um, Again, email me if you're interested in a Zoom. Feel free to email me. Stay safe, Susan. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? A lot of you saying thank you. You're welcome. You can tell that. Oh, Tyrone, I hit you this morning, so you're back east too. Elena Cook talks about having peer-to-peer in robotics club. Yeah. What I introduced last year, that's a good point. I brought in what we call um, unified. They have unified sports where they take students that are in special ed and they introduce them into actual sports. So I have students from the unified class come in and they're part of the robotics club and in competitions too. So we started that last year and I'm going to continue with it this year. It was fun. Cost of Solid Professor Tyrone, you'll have to get with the Solid Professor team. I don't know the cost of it, but they're really good with it, and it works really, really well. And let's see here. You're welcome, Tiffany. My ADD kicks in, and you can tell I get really excited. My kids, what you're seeing here is what my kids see. And when I'm up and walking around, I rarely sit down. I'm always up and walking around and just having fun. It's fun when the kids have fun with it, you interact with them, and they do a lot more. They do a lot more. Anything else? Couple more minutes here before the session ends. Yeah. Let's see, did I miss any? Let me scroll up here. Paso Robles, I've driven through there before. I used to live in Central Cal. Um, yeah. Any other questions? The binders, yeah. There's a certain size. When I go with the binders, uh, they have to be a certain size, and they have to be a certain. It's got to be the one with the pockets because they put in their thing here. They put in their front cover and everything, so it's got to be professional. Anything that they and I always tell them, hey, if you can't afford it, you let me know because I'll always buy it for them. Sometimes students will leave theirs for the next class, which is nice. Okay, Elena says if you're on an FRC team, you get a free license of Solid Professor. Nice. Clary's talking. She's giving the information for getting quotes on it, and it looks like I may be ending here in a minute, so that gives you an opportunity to take a breather and get to the next session. I don't want to take up time for the next session, but Solid Professor, look into that because it does the Autodesk. They're introducing the Design X, which you are going to be getting the test for, and they work on Google Chromebooks, from what I understand. So I can't wait to get mine to test it out. And yeah, and they have a bunch of other things. The GD&T is a new one that I'm going to be looking into to implement it. I was looking in it last year. Um, and so when they bring it in, the cool thing is you don't get charged extra. It's included with that. So the more they add, the more you get. You don't pay extra for that. So get with Clary if you like, get a quote on that, or get with Paxton Patterson if you're thinking on that. You get some ideas on that, or PLTW. And each one has their own niche of where it goes. I've taught all of them, and I know which niche it falls into. And you can always get a hold of me, and I can give you some more insight on that. Stacy, it looks like apply for FIRST robotics sponsorship. Oh, I'd love to get into FIRST, but the facility right now, we can't. We'd have to go off site to get things welded. I can get some things done here on campus, um, but and it's the most hard fun you'll have as an FRC if you get into FIRST robotic. It's the most fun, hard work you'll have, and the kids will love it too. Ooh, 5667. I forget what mine was in River, and I was in Fresno at my FRC team. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I want to give you all to get to the next speaker. And thank you again. Have a great time, and those of you in the hurricanes, stay safe. I'm just kind of sticking around for any late comments. I don't want you to miss your 7435. Nice, nice. Kevin, 1557. You got into it a long time ago. Nice. Yeah, around where I'm at for FRC, there are some of the top teams in the nation. So you're welcome. You're welcome, y'all. All right, I'm going to close it up here, so I give time for you to get to the. I don't want to shortchange the other speakers. All right, take care. Bye bye.